Hey everybody and welcome. This is Trust Your Data Talks, a show where we try to explore how privacy, business and technology work together and affect one another. We also will give you some useful tips today for you and your organizations how to build success online based on these foundations. My name is Cornelius. I'm the Group Data Protection Officer at eyeo, maker of AdBlock Plus, and in general company developing technology that fosters a fair and sustainable internet. I will share today my expertise on compliance and privacy, and I'm thrilled to be here with my two co-hosts, Maciej and Gerhard. Guys, please introduce each other.
It's great to be here speaking with you, Cornelius. My name is Maciej Zawadziński. I'm CEO of Piwik PRO, a privacy-friendly alternative to Google Analytics. And I will be sharing my expertise and experience on the technology side of things.
Yes, thanks for the invitation. I'm pretty happy to be there again with you guys. My name is Gerhard Kürner. I'm founder and CEO of 506, a marketing data science company from Austria. And we help companies to be more data-driven and also to have more success with their first-party data. And I will share my expertise in marketing and business development.
Thanks both, great to have you. So in this episode today, we will talk about how privacy requirements can affect your organization and how you can use them to your advantage. So maybe let's start with painting the bigger picture here. And these are some key trends you should know about. Gerhard, let's maybe start with you. What key trends do you see in terms of our topic today, especially from your expert area?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question, especially from you, because I see a big change in the view of data from the legal perspective to, let me say, to good data. What do I mean with good data? Right now, it's about getting transparent consent and storing it in a traceable way. But in the future, good data also mean what is done with this and how it is processed, for example, with artificial intelligence. And the issue of transparency and ethics is still to come in that area.
Great. Maciej, what do you have to add from the technology side?
Yeah, I think that the technology side follows or even takes over the legal part. So I see there are a lot of ecosystem changes and pressure on the privacy compliance. And so you can name here a few examples like changes to Apple's App Store policy, upcoming changes in Android, or phasing out third-party cookies, which was already done for some time in mobile web browser, but now it's happening also to the desktop web browser. So it looks like it is not only about compliance on the legal side, but also about the what the technology allows us to do. And I think that changes are in general going into good direction. So all companies will have to play by the same rules. And it's not only the legal side that force them, but also the technology that prevents from certain practices. And I think consumers will generally appreciate these changes. And I wouldn't treat this as a drawback, but it's everyone have to adjust to the new rules, and whether you are in a jurisdiction that allows you for more or less, there will be still the same technological limitations for everyone, which will make competing a more fair play game.
Yeah, that's interesting that you raised that point. So what maybe to add here from both the legal but also just as a general perspective. So what we see legally, of course, is that privacy compliance becomes much more of an issue. So we had GDPR applying since 2018, and ever since then we saw new privacy laws being developed across the globe. But we also see a lot of developments and innovation happening in the privacy technology sector. Some of them you already mentioned, Maciej, but also when you look at specific new companies being found and developed only based on developing products that are privacy enhancing or privacy preserving, we see huge shifts there. So the so-called privacy tech sector, I did a look into it in preparation of today, and what I found out is that privacy startups received more than $4 billion in investment in over 500 funding rounds in the last 5 years alone. And another statistic that plays into that is that in the last 5 years, the number of privacy tech vendors increased by the factor of 8. So you can really see clear shifts that are somehow triggered by channel developments and also some changes on user behavior, but they are also triggered by the legal developments with new laws and regulations. And with these key trends in mind, maybe we can now look at the main challenges that organizations face when bringing privacy into the action. Maciej, what are the main challenges that you see?
So I think it's interesting that you brought up the topic of funding and amount of startups in the space, because there are real challenges to solve, and we need these companies to innovate. So the first one that I see is there is less and less data, and even if we could say it's higher quality because it's first-party data, we have less of a choice from where we can get the data to run our marketing campaigns or other activities. And we have to do much more on our own. So we cannot just buy third-party data off the shelf, but rather we have to have our own strategy to implement the first-party data collection, introduce new software platforms. And that's where all these startups are coming in. So they not only help in compliance, but also solve some of the challenges that were created by the legal and technological challenges that we mentioned. So I think it's very interesting to look at. And the bottom line is that the brands will have to build more direct relationships with the consumers and get their trust and have a direct dialogue, rather than have some standardized off-the-shelf data for prospecting, for example.
Thanks. Gerhard, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because Maciej triggered sort of in that direction. I think when I take a look to the companies, then I think the most important issue there, or problem sometimes, is that GDPR is not only a consent issue, it's a process in the company concerning data and access. And the problem is that a lot of companies are not really aware of that. Some of them, they do have some, let me say, CRM responsibilities, but when you discuss with those people about consent, and they say, oh, consent, is this the cookie banner on the website? What do we mean have this in common to my job as CRM manager, because I get from my ERP system workshop. When I take a look with sales people, which are sending email proposal or other thing to the customer, I see it's open or not. So there is no clue about that. Companies have to learn that GDPR is really there, but the consent is, let me say, the basics for everybody. And the companies have to learn that customer data, also the anonymous one, are like raw material that goes different processes in the company. And the companies have to be aware about that.
Yeah, that's certainly a good point. Maybe if I try to add one, addition to the challenges that you raised, I just thought about it when the two of us were sharing your expertise, is when it comes to privacy compliance and also the business impacts, what people usually look at or refer to are the fines. So you heard that a bunch of times probably already. GDPR can give you fines up to 20 million or 4% of global annual turnover, whichever is higher. And yeah, as you rightly mentioned, there were already a few fines that looked into this, not the consent itself, but the process behind it, if that is broken. One thing which is interesting in that regard is that, at least for me, it goes so much beyond just the fines. A recent study of the Pew Research Center found that 52% of users, so adult Americans, said they purposely chose to not use a product or service over privacy compliance. So there you have, as a company, potentially over half of your potential users or customers saying they would rather use another product because of privacy concerns. So you see a huge business impact there as well. Talking about which, what I also like to follow and maybe highlight there, talking about business risks related to privacy concerns, is besides the fines, there are also other direct financial losses a company can experience based on privacy. When you look at the development of the stock prices of Facebook during the Cambridge Analytica scandal, you could see in end of March 2018, when the Cambridge Analytica scandal was formally confirmed, you saw a drop of the stock price of 7%, losing market value of over $30 billion US, which is extremely high amount of money compared to thinking about privacy only in terms of the fines that you could get as a company. But as we now raced through different challenges that companies face, maybe we look at the solutions next. Maciej, let's start with you. What solutions do you see from a technical perspective?
Mm-hmm. So what I want to highlight is that it's not only about the brands that have their brand promise as a differentiator with privacy protection, but also brands that implemented the first-party strategies. And we can learn from them and inspire some of the solutions that they already implemented and they are already working. So, for example, on the publisher market, there is a very good strategy implemented by New York Times, where they went completely first party, and it seems to be working well. There are some materials that they shared online about that. But this is not the only example in the publisher space. On European markets, for example, we have a Moser Holding, an owner of many local news outlets and online publications, that also went with this strategy, and it's working very well. So they focus on building first-party data audience and building trust with their audiences, and then using this data to their benefit, or to the benefit of their direct advertisers. And I like the studies that you mentioned, Cornelius, about the consumers caring about privacy. I think this will become a trend, and I have a feeling that this still has a novelty factor. So it's only some brands that actually highlight that. And I think if you are in this group of companies that make this as your differentiator now, you have much bigger impact and advantage over your competitors because of this novelty factor.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I will share some of my thoughts on that in just a minute. But first, I wanted to hear the take of Gerhard on this.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's quite hard to take the answer, because Maciej mentioned the Moser Holding, which is one of our loveliest clients. And as I mentioned earlier, GDPR is not only consent, but also process in the company concerning data and access. And like the Moser Holding, Moser Holding has learned to deal with it. With the consent-based, real good data, we can offer the right subscription together and increase sales and customer satisfaction in the same time. So there are a lot of possibilities if you go in the good data own tracking area. And we know the people there. I think Maciej and his team also together this is a learning curve from the last 12 months. And they have learned that if you have this good data, this content-based data, and you can also do something with that, not do something in that what is the highest possibility to say something, it's better, what is the best possibility that we find the right solution or the right, let me say, in that area, subscription model for a reader, because we know exactly what the reader normally wants. And this is a process which involves data science, website, digital people, and also the normal telephone-based subscription department in a newspaper. And this is really a huge advantage in the future when your company is understanding and learning what you can do with that good content-based data. And we have also, which we are not allowed to speak it out, but we have an e-commerce brand which we started right now also. They are also very, very interested in where are they coming from, what did they do. They will combine it with point of sales. They will do different things, and from the management team down to sales, customer service, everybody is involved to learn, little steps by step, but to learn, because everybody is discussing about these huge technology companies, and we have to do something that some of the possibilities should also be in hands of our companies here. It's not the same way, but in a smaller way, it's possible also to use that from companies in Europe.
Yes, thanks, Gerhard. This brings me to my last point I want to make here, and maybe this goes maybe also a bit already as a closing remark, and maybe food for thought for some of the people listening to this. There is this concept or theory of the privacy paradox, and I don't know how familiar you are with this, but in a nutshell, it means people tend to say they care about privacy and data protection, especially online, but their actions don't really follow through. So in studies, they say, yes, privacy is very important to me, but then when it comes to their online behavior, they would not stop using services because of privacy program, or they would not pay for products because they are more privacy enhanced. And for some time, I was quite bought into that idea, because I saw some indications why this privacy paradox is actually happening in the market. But more and more, I see some weaknesses in this argument, which goes well hand in hand with what both of you are saying, that users really do care. And one example I just stumbled across a couple of weeks ago was a project on Kickstarter where a few software developers pitched the idea of developing a privacy enhanced app to save your communications and the personal information storage on your phone through an app. And this app gathered, or this Kickstarter idea for this app gathered $600,000 within a couple of weeks on Kickstarter. So the money came from regular people. It was not VC backed, it was not investors, etc. So this really shows a shift that interplays with so many of the challenges that you mentioned, and also the tips and solutions that you provided. Having said that, let's maybe try to wrap it up. And for that, I would be happy to hear your maybe closing remarks or thoughts. Maciej, what is your takeaway?
Mm-hmm. So I really like the example with the Kickstarter, because like if people are putting money into something, that means that they are actually caring about that, and there is no better example than, like, say, paying for privacy. And well, I think that this will be let's maybe a start into more paid subscription and this micro audiences online, where the users will like stop just, let's say, giving out data just to receive news for free or other services. But I think that the biggest showstopper for that is actually making it easy for the user, because they may want a privacy, but it has to be also easy for them to protect this privacy. And I think this gives a huge opportunity for all these startups that you mentioned, Cornelius, that raise so much money.
Yeah, I can't more agree with Maciej. I think there are two traps outside there. On one is the convenience trap, as Maciej said. I think a lot of people will agree that privacy is one of the most important things. But when you take a deeper look on their behaviors, they give a shit about that. They click on everything or something like that. We see that very, very, very often. And on the other hand, we see also if you have to pay for privacy, for a login or for other things, the willingness for paying them is also very low. So on one hand, we have to take care about the customers, that it is convenient and it is okay. And on the other hand, it's also important, let me say, it's not the know-how trap. When you have legal departments or other, they have, let me say, to avoid every risk from the company, you can also avoid every sales from the company in the online shop or online world. So also to find a way that even not deeply inside website analytics, shopping or other things, legal people can understand what kind of activity means what. I think these two traps are very, very important for us. That they are not traps, they are only progress in the future to learn and understand, better convenient and also legal 100% clean.
Yes, I think there's hardly a better way to end the conversation we had today with that remark that we should all try to overcome those traps and make opportunities out of them. Gentlemen, it was great to talk to you again. I always enjoy our conversations. I hope people watching enjoyed that too. I hope we gave you some ideas and thoughts for your work and organizations. If you have any other questions or thoughts, reach out to us. You find us on LinkedIn. Please do get in touch. If you like what you saw, please feel free to share this episode with your colleagues and friends and family. And having said that, we look forward to the next time we see each other here at the Trust Your Data Talks.